recording. Yeah. Alrighties. Yeah, so we were just talking about the pyramid. So we can keep on talking. I just thought we'd press record because it's neat to listen to.
Right.
I feel that the world of hypnosis and the world of spirituality are very compatible worlds.
Yeah.
And I have found over the course of my own journey that in working with states like hypnosis and mindfulness and meditation, it always deepens my spiritual understanding of an experience.
Yeah. And what was what was the drawing of going to Egypt? Was it just a calling
It was, I always like to do at least one spiritual journey a year. In the beginning of 2020, I went to Machu Picchu.
Wow. My gosh.
And I actually climbed a mountain that was 15,800 feet tall. It's a good thing I live in the Rockies because that was very, very hard on a lot of people in the group just because of the altitude.
Yeah.
But it was a really interesting experience. So my son-in-law got to live the entrepreneurial dream. He had a company, he built his company up for 12 years, and then he sold it to Apple. And so when he sold it to Apple, Apple wanted him to work for them for 3 years. And then at the end of 3 years, he decided to do an early retirement. And he and my daughter and my 5-year-old granddaughter are on a year-long trip around the world.
Yeah, wow.
And so when they were talking about the trip, I said, I want to go to Egypt and I want to go to Japan. And so I joined them in Crete, and we had a wonderful time in Crete, and then we spent 3 weeks in Egypt. So
beautiful. Gosh,
and how
you've
did
traveled,
you find
Sam?
Yeah.
What?
You've traveled.
You've traveled.
Yes. I'll come to New Zealand too sometime.
Awesome.
Well, we'd love to have you. How did you find doing the meditation in the pyramid?
Oh my gosh. It was so powerful. And I could just feel like this was definitely part of my own personal spiritual journey, was to go through these different pyramids and do the meditation and spiritual practice I did. I felt like it definitely was something that enhanced my own spiritual gifts, my intuitive gifts, and my discernment. So it was definitely worth it.
Yeah. So we should probably go back to the start for people, just like how you got into hypnotherapy and kind of the journey that it's taken you on for people getting to know you.
So when I was 16 years old, I weighed 265 pounds, and I am 5'2". And I came out of a pretty abusive childhood where my father, I know now that my father probably had PTSD from World War II, but he would fly into blind rages and really severely beat me quite a bit. And then my mother would give me ice cream and chocolate as a reward for the experience. So by the time I was 16, I weighed 265 pounds. And by that time, I moved in with my grandmother in Berkeley, California. And we went to the University of Berkeley Library, and we took out all the books on hypnosis. And we hypnotized me to lose 155 pounds in a year. And it changed my entire life. And so even though I went on and I got degrees in clinical psychology and marriage and family therapy, I always believed in hypnosis because I knew how powerful it was for my life. And so I just started attending hypnotherapy schools as a hobby. And I went to 2 or 3 different schools because I like a lot of different approaches to things rather than just one particular system. And then I started incorporating hypnosis into the type of psychotherapy I did. And then at a particular time, right around 2008 or so, I outgrew psychotherapy. I woke up one day and said, I don't like this model. I don't like this model where people are presumed to have something wrong with them. And I'm presumed to be the power person that can help them get better. So I actually closed my really, really very successful psychotherapy practice. In fact, I was president of the Colorado Association of Psychotherapists and went to school and became a life coach, and then became a business coach, and then brought hypnosis in and kind of developed my own type of hypnotic coaching, which I primarily do with entrepreneurial business people. I'm a business coach. Yeah. In fact, I call myself a success coach that uses the tools and techniques of coaching with the power and the punch of hypnosis to clear subconscious blocks, shift the mindset, help people have success.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. And so on your journey along the way, we were talking earlier about spiritual journeys and how it really fits in with hypnosis and hypnotherapy. With your business coaching, how do you blend it all together?
So a lot of it is all about language. However it is that you language something really affects someone's perception of it. So talking about something greater than yourself, talking about your own inner self, the authentic part of who you are, the way you connect into the source, you can change the language. But ultimately, when a client has a connection to some kind of inner resource, your work is going to be easier.
Yeah. Because
the soul always wants us to be the very best version of who we can be. Yeah. And so that means overcoming your habits. That means stretching yourself. That means becoming everything that you dream of by getting the blocks out of the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so my clientele is like doctors, lawyers. I have clients that work for Apple. I have clients that work for Adobe. I have clients that work for Oracle. I kind of am in the middle management corporate world as a business coach. And then I also work with coaches and therapists and entrepreneurial business people.
Yeah. I like what you said earlier about how people aren't broken and we're there to fix them. And I know that message is listening to a lot of people talking, that message is probably in the last year or two been changing a lot, with a lot of the different people getting out there and talking about hypnotherapy, going from a space of we've all got these things wrong with us and we need to be fixed to we're actually not broken at all. There's, we are perfect just the way we are, but we just need, just some little help on the way to get in a certain direction type thing.
Yeah. So there's three very important differences between coaching and hypnotherapy. Because even though we don't like to admit it, hypnotherapy is still kind of under that medical model. Okay. So the primary differences are it's a different model. Coaching is about development. It's closer to sociology or anthropology than psychology. And what it essentially says is that every human being has the seeds of their own greatness. They just need a coach to help them with their focus, their mindset, their attitude, their skills and abilities, their habits and behaviors. And so one of the things that I have to admit in talking to you is I want to encourage you all to kind of think of yourselves as moving more into a coaching framework than in a therapeutic framework. The public is getting tired of therapy.
Yeah.
The public is, because even if you totally love your hypnotherapist, you're still going to therapy.
Yeah.
If you have a coach, you have now joined the elite. You have now joined Olympic gold medal winners, sports performance people. You know, Tony Robbins has 6 coaches. So people, I find that my clients market my practice. And they market my practice because of the fact that they are proud to share with their friends and family that they're working with a coach.
Big difference. Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a different model. It's a different relationship. Okay, coaching is equal. I have like a spiritual coach, a personal growth coach, and a business coach myself. And I might have some social activities with one of those coaches that's local. And it's totally okay because we have this equal relationship.
Yeah.
So different model, different relationship, different process. In therapy, theoretically, the therapist has a plan and is following that plan to help the client get better. Coaching is co-created. You know, I'm your partner for power.
Yeah.
That's like one of the phrases I use, partner for power. You know, I help you use the most powerful computer in the world, the one between your ears, to be able to achieve what you want in your life.
Yeah.
People pay more for coaching than they do for hypnotherapy. I make more money for less time.
And I imagine it's a better business model because you don't have a quick turnover of people.
I have clients that have worked with me for years. I have a doctor client that I started with her when she was still in medical school 9 years ago, you know, and helped her with her performance anxiety of taking exams.
Yeah.
So a coach is a little bit like a personal trainer for your life that helps you really get rid of the subconscious blocks. You know, the sky is never the limit, it's always the mind. And so for someone to really achieve success in the world, they have to believe they deserve it. And they have to get the subconscious blocks out of the way.
Yeah. And you have a very neat way of doing that. I've got some of your packages that you sell. And I know some people here, even here today, use your techniques. Yeah, so we will link to that later because it is really interesting having a read. But it seems the way you do it is very direct and just straight to the point. There's not much mucking around. Let's get in and do this. Yeah,
it's common sense. You know, unfortunately, the reality is that for probably about the last 100 years, we've had very dysfunctional family systems. And family systems are supposed to teach life skills. Right. So a lot of people are weak in life skills. And unfortunately, what?
That's okay.
When they're weak in life skills, sometimes they misidentify it and think there's something wrong with them. You know, like, I really suck at relationships. Well, you don't know how to pick appropriate partners. You don't know how to get your needs met. You don't know how to do effective communication. This is all learned behavior. And so I really like a world where we start educating and training people to be more successful.
Yeah.
And the problem with traditional coaching is that traditional coaching is really about, let's help the client figure out what they want, and then let's help them get there. Okay, that's the basic fundamental thing. But you know that unless you deal with the subconscious mind, it's going to be a hard job. And so many life and business coaches are not really very successful because they don't know how to get into the mind.
Yeah.
And that's what you're really gifted at.
Very cool.
This is $1 million coaching, by the way. This is awesome.
Well, you know what I call my training program is the 6-figure success coach. I know because I personally do it and I have trained others to do it, that you can work 25 hours a week and make a 6-figure income. That is totally realistic.
Yeah.
And you get to have clients that stay with you for a long time, so you have depth in what you're doing. Did you have a question? Does anyone have any questions?
So when did you switch from the hypnotherapy model to coaching?
So I switched in 2008. And when I switched, I actually went to a special school for therapists to learn how to not be therapists and to become coaches, you know, because I had all that graduate school training in my head. So I had to like get it reversed so that I could work more effectively as a coach. But, you know, something that happened to me along the way was that when I moved from being a hypnotherapist into my creation of hypnotic coaching, the state of Colorado sued me.
Wow.
And they sued me because they said that hypnosis is only a tool of psychotherapy or stage entertainment. And that if I gave up my professional license, because I gave up my professional license and stopped using my initials, and I did hypnosis, then I was still doing therapy. So the lawsuit took 3 years and I won.
Oh.
I beat the state of Colorado. And I established case law, which has been used in 2 other states, the United States, that says coaches can use tools of therapists as long as they use them differently. And do you want to know what I won on? The statement I made that won the case? So we went before a trial judge, and the Assistant Attorney General of the state of Colorado kept saying, hypnosis is only stage entertainment or psychotherapy. You cannot do hypnosis without doing that. So I said, Your Honor, I'd like to make a statement that I'd like the Assistant Attorney General to answer. And so the judge said, okay, what is it? And I said, one of the fastest growing forms of the use of hypnosis is in childbirth. When the woman gives birth, is she doing stage entertainment or psychotherapy?
And what did they say?
And the judge said, you win the case. And the state had to issue an apology. They did not pay my legal fees because apparently there's a law in Colorado that says you can't recover your legal fees. But it was worth it to establish that point.
Yeah. And so did that change it for everybody when it came to coaching and using hypnosis?
Yes, in the state of Colorado, you can use hypnosis as a coach. Yeah. And you can also do that in California and in Nevada, because there's also been cases in those 2 areas.
Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting. So in America, you can't, is it right that you can't can't call yourself a hypnotherapist if you're not licensed? Is that?
In the state of Colorado, you can no longer do that. You have to have a mental health degree. And also there are other laws in states, like in Texas, it's kind of murky, where you're not supposed to actually be a therapist, but nobody checks up on the people in Texas.
Yeah.
In Colorado, we have a very active Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Yeah, yeah. We're still lucky here in New Zealand. We don't have any regulations whatsoever, which is good and not so good. But the only thing I found out recently, which was really interesting, was someone went to the doctor and tried to get on ACC. And when they asked, ACC is like accident compensation here. And on the ACC form, you have to say what your job is. And so she said, I'm a hypnotherapist. And they tried to look up hypnotherapist, and it wasn't under our government as a job that you can do. So the closest thing to it was hypnotherapy stripper or stage hypnotist was class. It was something like, yeah, we have to put you down as class C with the stage hypnotist and the strippers. And she was like, well, I can do all of it, so why not put me there, just as a joke. But then she messaged me and said, isn't it funny that's our category still? But I'm like, that was written a very long time ago, and it wouldn't have been changed. So it's not something really against us. It's just one of those funny little things that kind of hang on, until someone comments on it. But it's still a little bit funny. Yep, Susie.
Hi, Zalita. This is awesome. I've come from a therapy background, and I'm really fascinated that you had to go through this process to change the way that you thought to work in the coaching arena. What are some of the main changes that you needed to make to go from working with clients from a therapy kind of perspective to a coaching one?
A lot of it has to do with style. And in a coaching style, what you're essentially doing is facilitating someone growing and developing, but you're doing it in a non-therapeutic way. You're doing it like you're doing it with an equal. And coaching is really, really specific about not like fixing or prescribing or dictating or doing any of those kinds of things, but using more inquiry. Like, what are some of the things that you've thought of to resolve this particular issue? And since I use hypnosis, I'm always really careful to say things like, I have kind of like a progression that I do, in sessions. And I'm training people right now. So I'm kind of like making up these guides, in how you would progress, because we're talking about relationships that are really longer term relationships. So it's not like someone comes to you with a problem that they want to fix. It's more like you're developing a relationship to help them get to the best case scenario in all areas of the life. And so I do present the wheel of life, and I have them do a self-assessment where they essentially say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you in these different areas? And if you guys are interested, I'll be glad to upload some handouts that you can pass out. Awesome. But I have this handout called the Wheel of Personality, which really presents the idea that everyone has a committee. And the committee is the judge, the rebel, the romantic, the skeptic, the believer, the victim, the child. And people can really identify with these parts. They can say things like, oh, I can hear my rebel talking now. And so I like to really educate the client, and then the client and I make choices together. I'm wondering if it would be beneficial to you if you had a spiritual guide or a way of really connecting into your own intuition that would help you to feel like you had more clarity. I know a process where we can go and find such a guide. So it's like a co-creative experience. And there's definitely much more of a recognition that the client is actually really in charge. This is your life. And you've called me into your life to help you develop some better habits in a certain area. Does that answer?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Definitely cool. So in your coaching, you do cool things like that, like the spiritual stuff, the calling and a guide and all of that.
Yeah, I have to be real who I am. And I'm very, very spiritually based. You know, I was born with the ability to see angels and energy and things like that. In fact, I have a degree in clinical psychology in Berkeley to prove I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
But my clients are primarily referral-based clients at this point. And so they know something of who I am because they know people that work with me. And spirituality, I'm not very, I don't want to say I'm anti-religious because I don't mean that, but I'm not really focused on the idea of religion. But I do think that being in touch with your own soul, having a connection, whether you find it in nature or in music, of something that touches your soul or your inner being, develops much more depth in you.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a client that's a very, you know, well-known executive business coach, and I'm his spiritual coach because he's trying to find those connections in his own life.
That's really neat. Cool.
So yeah. Any things I can give people tips on, or?
I just love what you say, that it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter how successful you are. All the successful people have someone, like they have a coach, they have like you said, a spiritual coach and a business coach and a person, because it lets everybody else know that no matter where you're at, you still need someone.
Yes, I think definitely, because I feel like you need another. Coaching supplies 2 or 3 different things. It supplies another perspective from someone that doesn't have an agenda. Okay, your friends and your family has an agenda. They secretly would like you to do it the way they would like. Mm-hmm. But your coach is someone that's really there for you.
Yeah.
There's also an accountability factor. You know, I am still actually recovering from the death of my husband in 2014. You know, I had a 30-year wonderful marriage. My husband died very suddenly. I did hospice in my home for 6 weeks, and it was very traumatizing. And so I lost a lot of my oomph in life, a lot of my motivation. I love to create things. So if anybody needs anything created, you know, you could pass it along, but creation is something that really kind of keeps me happy and keeps my energy high. So I have a personal development coach to really have some accountability so that I just don't, you know, get my things done, keep my house clean, and then curl up in a corner and feel sad and lonely. Yeah. You know, that coach will say to me, well, what are you going to do to make some real friends? Because I mentioned that I didn't actually have any real friends at this point in my life. And so my coach says, well, what are you going to do to make some real friends? And I say, well, I'm going to do such and such. And then my coach will say, well, when will you do it? And how will I know you've done it? You know, so that accountability is something that I really needed. I'm kind of on the other side now, but I was really in a grief trance for about 7 years of my life. you know, and I'm just kind of like coming out of it, but having that coach and having my bi-weekly meetings with that coach to really kind of keep me on track was just so incredibly helpful.
Hmm. And how do you find keeping, when you're coaching someone for a year, 2 years, 3 years, how do you keep the maintainer as coach client relationship?
So I very often use handouts. You know, I mean, you know, you've seen, like, I create a lot of materials, so I use handouts. And so, like, I've worked with this woman around the issue of, around the challenge of releasing excess weight for like about 6 months. And she has released maybe 10 or 12 pounds, but she is doing some sabotage. So I sent her this handout called The Wheel of Personality, and it explains all about the sub-personalities. And then there's a journaling exercise after it. And so now we're into another phase. So it's like being really present in the situation, seeing where the client is going, knowing that the evolution of life is a constant thing. You know, I myself am a lifelong learner. You know, other people want to continue to grow and develop. The clients that are really attracted to us as we move more into where do we want to go, not what do we want to get rid of. Okay, when you start moving into where do we want to go, you're going to move into a different clientele. This is a clientele that actually can afford to pay you better. This is a more functional population, but they still need help and support in their life.
Yeah. How do you keep the boundary between friendship and client if you get to know them for so long?
So I do have some that you use discernment and you figure out who can stretch those boundaries and who can't. Okay. I know I always can, but I know other people always can't. So I'm aware of that. But for instance, my client / friend that lives in Texas, if we're going to have a friendship encounter, we're going to FaceTime. If we're going to have a professional encounter, we're going to do a Zoom. I'm going to record the coaching. I'm going to record the hypnosis, and she's going to get those sent after.
Yeah.
So there's a clear delineation. We're moving into a different relationship here.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
But I love my clients.
Yeah.
I love my clients and students. There's just no question about it. I love them. I meditate on them every week. I really care about them. They're part of my energetic family in the world.
Yeah. That's really neat. Any questions, guys?
There might be some in the chat because I see the chat is lit up.
I was going to say Jan and Claire have both got questions.
Okay, so question. For your clients, do you structure programs, so like a 6-week program, or do you do each session and they book by the week or the month? Okay, so the answer to that is I sell packages. And so the bigger the package, the less you pay for sessions. So I would say the majority of clients do one of two things. They either pay a monthly fee or they buy a package of 20 sessions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I would do something like a, 9-session super self-esteem program. I designed one specifically for a woman. I am definitely willing to design programs on the spur of the moment because I have so many materials. It would be astounding. But I don't necessarily market those things. I do more ongoing coaching with people.
So if somebody wants a program chucked together for something, you're the lady to contact?
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Yes, because I have so many materials for sure.
Awesome.
And this new coach that I have feels like I should do something like 90 days to business success and put together a 90-day program. So I'm thinking about doing that.
Yeah.
The second question is, how often do you see clients? Would you see a client weekly or 2 weekly? Depends on the client, but how would you start out? Okay, so I like to start out with a 20-minute Zoom, which is like a strategy call. And that's a complimentary call where we talk about what it is that you want. And one of the things that I suggest you all do, because I think this is a good thing, I have this sheet of paper right here on my desk, and this sheet of paper says, benefits of working with me. Okay, and the benefits of working with me is fast track your success. There's a little step after that. Have a partner for power. Unleash your inner strength. Get proven solutions. Learn to use the power of the mind. So when I do that strategy call with that person, I'm going to basically talk to you about what you want, and I'm going to allow you to feel some excitement and energy. And then I'm going to say what keeps you from having that. And then I'm going to listen really good. And then I'm going to connect what it is that is the solution to what they need to one of my benefits. Okay, this is a dynamite sales technique. In fact, I won an award at my coach last year because I had 100% closure rate for 6 months. Every single person I talked to signed up. And I use this formula, you know, where I really do listen and I really do see what is blocking you. And then I say, well, one of the things that I do is I partner with power for my client. So I am there for you 100%. You know, so you weave what it is that are the benefits of working with you into what the potential client needs. And if you want to get clients, all you have to do are these 3 things, okay? You have to get out in front of people. You have to have identified what are your benefits, 3 to 5 things that are benefits of working with you. And you have to create a first and second pitch. And your first pitch is a little bit like your elevator speech. You know, I'm a success coach. I use a real unique combination of tools of coaching with power of hypnosis to clear subconscious blocks, to shift the mindset, to help people achieve goals. Okay, that's your first pitch. Your second pitch is the more in-depth conversation that really connects with that potential client. Is your business where you want it to be? Are you making the level of money that you'd like to make each month? What would you like to do to change that? Well, one of the things that I help people do is to get a clear understanding that their value is priceless, to learn how to fish in a different pond. Okay, so here's a story my coach told me. Once upon a time, there was a really good fisherman, and he would go out to this pond every day, and he would fish all day long, and he would catch all these little fish, and he'd take them home, and they'd feed his family for a day, and he'd have to go out and fish again. And one day, a wise woman came along and saw how hard the fisherman worked and said to the fisherman, you know, if you go up that hill and down the road, there's another pond where there are really big fish. And those bigger fish will feed your family longer. So there are high-paying clients in the world. And it is just as easy to get a high-paying client as it is to get a low-paying client. And I totally believe in service work, but I don't think you should do your service work with your income.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see people of our profession get more wealthy, because when good people become wealthy, they do good things.
This is a message for today, I think, Susie, and this is exactly what our conversation was this morning.
Yes, I can't believe exactly what we were talking about. Yeah.
Because you can do service for free for people that need it, but you can only do that when you can pay your bills and you can pay people for a higher price. Yeah.
I even think it's a better idea not to do your service with your professional sessions. I think that you should keep your professional sessions at a higher rate, because the work that you do is priceless. Okay, we're going into the age of consciousness, and you are the midwives of consciousness. Okay, nobody's going to get to the level of success they'd like until they deal with their subconscious mind. So your work is priceless. And so you deserve to have high-paying clients. And that's why I think if you shift your orientation more into a coaching model, you will be able to attract those higher paying clients.
That's really cool. We did with HNZ with my training, we've just added a coaching, but a hypno change coach kind of module into it, because my mindset was the whole one session wonder is just too hard to sustain if you want to have a good income and want to have a good life. You know, having to always get clients is quite difficult, even if you are the best of the best. Yeah. So we're kind of drifting in that direction naturally as well.
I think it's really the flavor of the world. Get on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
Get on that bandwagon. Move into coaching. Move into coaching. Keep the skills of hypnosis, because hypnosis helps to clear the gap. See, like I took International Coach Federation training, so that was pretty high quality training. But one of the things that they would say was, how do you close the gap between where the client is and where the client wants to be? You have to go through the mind.
Yeah.
You have to get the subconscious mind on board in order for that client to really become successful.
Cool. And so for these guys, and of course the people watching, it's work hours today, so most people will probably be watching tonight on video. You said that you do training and things for us, and also you create programs and packages. That's really awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, say if someone, so say Claire wanted to create a program for women, a coaching kind of model for women that was a certain amount of time, we can approach you and ask, what have you got for this?
You could absolutely do that, because I'd like to take more of my products and put them together into kits so they could be used together. And I'm also looking for affiliates. And affiliates would be people that would sell my products off of their website, and I pay a 30% commission.
I'm fine doing that.
So that's a pretty good commission.
Yeah.
And all of the products are downloadable.
Yeah.
So
awesome. So where do people find you, Zulita?
So I'm the only Zulita Grant in the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So look you up.
So you could Facebook me to become a friend. I have an amazing Facebook group called Mindset for Success Community. And there's actually a place in that group where you can advertise your own stuff. And you can post just regular information in the group without links or ads. You know, you could just get those posted. But if you had something you wanted to like have an ad to, there's a special place where you can post that. Also, my website is called Mindset for-success.org. And there's, if you go to the right side of the top bar, it says affiliate program. And it tells you exactly how to sign up to become an affiliate.
So Salita, if someone signed up with you for a spiritual coach, what does it look like? What does a spiritual coach do?
So a spiritual coach, I have something actually written out. A spiritual coach facilitates the development of the spirituality of the client so that the client can develop a direct communication with the source in a way that can benefit the client's life. Under the category of spiritual coaching, I would include dream work. I would include past life regression. I would include inner life journeying. And I would include energy hypnosis. All of which I have materials for.
It sounds amazing. Even the idea of having someone working with you on a regular basis doing all of that cool stuff, because a lot of the time, I don't know, my head still seems to view the spiritual stuff as the fun stuff. Like if I do past life regression with someone or spiritual work, I still view it as the fun stuff instead of the heavier stuff, you know, when we go into trauma and that. But yet it's so valuable. I mean, it is what do they say? Suffering, I heard someone say the other day, suffering is disconnection from the truth of who we truly are.
I think so. And, you know, I think we're in a paradigm shift. You know, there's no reason to learn from wisdom. I mean, there's no reason to learn from woe. Let's learn from wisdom. Let's take our life out of trauma and let's put our life into thriving and growing and developing. And because I have moved out, you know, I really paid my dues in psychotherapy. I worked in a mental hospital. I did teenagers in residential treatment. I worked in domestic violence and I did drug and alcohol. So I feel like I paid my dues in that world. I moved out of trauma when I did private practice. And so I always worked with, you know, people that were looking for better quality of life. Moving into coaching, all of my practice is fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. So even, yeah. Have you got packages of your I think Jan answered that question anyway. For your spiritual coaching type tools, you have that available for people to purchase.
Yes, I could definitely put together a spiritual coaching training program like that.
Tools, yeah, it sounds like a good and an area to be in that is so important because people, you know, the world's changing pretty quickly.
People are waking up.
Yeah.
You know, we're at the worst of times, we're at the best of times.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of negativity that's still bubbling out in the world, but there's a lot of positivity that's really flowing into the world. And the job of light bringers is to hold the light, to not allow yourself to be pulled down by darkness or despair, you know, or the political situation in the United States. You know, just put your attention on things that create positiveness in your life.
Yeah. And Salita, is taking people on spiritual journeys in your life plan?
Like physically taking people on spiritual
physically taking people to Egypt and guiding them through meditations and pyramids and journeying?
I think at this point, probably not. I mean, even though I feel super young and vital, I'm actually 77 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm trading.
You definitely look very young and vital.
I'm trading on my lifestyle. You know, I do yoga, meditation, hypnosis every day, you know, so I'm trading on my lifestyle. But at the same time, I do know that Egypt was intense.
Yeah.
It was very intense. I didn't like the camel.
Yeah. Did you have to ride the camel?
I did not like the camel riding experience.
Okay.
Those camels are a lot taller than you think they are.
Do you have to ride a camel or can you take a car?
I was there with my son-in-law and my daughter and my 5-year-old granddaughter, and you have two choices. You can ride the short ride on flat land, 7 minutes out, 7 minutes back, get your picture on the camel, okay? You could ride 45 minutes across terrain to the Sphinx. Of course, my son-in-law chose, let's ride to the Sphinx.
Yeah.
So the camel was intimidating, but I loved Egypt.
I've only ever ridden, apart from horses, an elephant's trunk. And I felt quite sorry for the elephant because it had to hold our poor weight on its trunk. But anyway, awesome. Cool. Well, is there any other questions, Guy, before we wrap it up? Guys?
Okay, so I want to give you some final words, okay?
Yeah.
So here's my final words, okay? What you do is priceless. Do not undervalue yourself. What you do is the ability to transform people's lives. That's a priceless thing. And always remember that you are a conscious creator. And as a conscious creator, part of being a conscious creator is to become inspiring and evolving, and to remember that everything can always work out for you.
Awesome.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, you can definitely email me, and I think I can upload some stuff to Messenger that you could have. And it was fun meeting you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zelita.
Thank you.
Very inspiring.
Awesome. All right,
See you
guys.
later.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, guys, for coming along. I'll just stop recording.
Peace. Cool.